Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are pretty much ready to leave this very dark portion of the moon, which is good because it's very, very dark indeed. So I'm going to go ahead and go into maneuver mode, and we should just get out of here. We'll take our apoapsis up to around 25k, and then go horizontal. So we're just going straight up for right now, or as straight up as we can, which would be right about here. Excellent. We shouldn't need our landing legs deployed anymore because we're going home. Apoapsis is currently about 5 kilometers, and I'm just going to go ahead and rotate us to be oriented this direction because I'm used to 90 degrees being on the right. Excellent. That's an apoapsis of 10 kilometers. I think I'm actually going to do the gravity turn at like 15. We can continue pushing it up once we have our horizontal speed. Okay, let's gravity turn. There we go. Excellent. And our apoapsis is still increasing. In fact, our time to apoapsis is decreasing slightly. But it should be okay. Excellent. I like how we now can see our descending node. Thanks, game. We're not going to bother fixing our inclination. That's not going to be a concern. Yeah, now our apoapsis is increasing. We're fine. Or rather, our time to apoapsis is increasing. Apoapsis is currently about 25 kilometers. So I am actually, once we hit 25 kilometers, I'm going to cut the engines and do the rest in a maneuver node. So right now, add a maneuver here, and we want to do a prograde burn. Do we want to just ditch the orbit entirely? I don't know about that. That doesn't look great. I think we just get in orbit and we burn on the other side. So let's go ahead and bring this apoapsis down to about here. I think that's good enough. This is going to be a prograde burn, so let's lock prograde. We have very little electric charge left, but once we get around to the other side, we'll fill up quickly with our solar panels. We don't have access to RTGs yet, so that's a little awkward. So this is a 28-second burn, so we will burn at T-minus 14 seconds. Let's go ahead and warp forward a little bit until we're there-ish. Okay, cutting the time warp. So in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, burn. So, what are problems that we identified on this? A, I'm really bad at landing at particular locations. That's something I need to improve at. B, we need lights on this thing. C, we need RTGs, or some other way other than solar panels, of generating electric power. Those are things we definitely need. So after this flight, we will look at addressing those. Let's go ahead and see about where we want to head back to Kerbin from. Let's see, what gives us a decent orbit with a nice low periapsis? Something like... Ooh, look at that. 200 meters per second, and no. 200 meters per second, and that gives us a periapsis of 200k. We can actually fine-tune that pretty nicely by going to about... I'm going to aim for 75k here. about like that. 265 meters per second. Technically, we could bring it much lower as well, but without the ability to lock to maneuver nodes, I think we're going to do this and just rely on our overkill. Because we could do the radial retrograde burn as we approach the periapsis and kill a lot of our apoapsis speed while keeping our periapsis the same, but without maneuver nodes, I'm not even going to attempt it. Okay, so this is what kind of a burn here? Let's see here. It says in one of these modes. I thought it was in the maneuver mode. Apparently it isn't in the maneuver node? Or is it only in the staging? I thought for sure it said somewhere in here what our speeds in each direction was. Maybe not. Anyway, it's going to be a little bit until we get this node. So I'm going to go ahead and warp to next maneuver. And we're just going to take a look at where this is. I think we're going to be burning prograde, is my theory. We'll have to see. Yeah, this is going to be a prograde burn. So 43 seconds, so this is going to be at T-minus 21.5 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and time warp forward until we get closer to that. Okay. There we go. I do wish we could lock to maneuver nodes. But I think after this flight we might be able to. That's a pilot experience thing, so we'll have to see. Then we'll probably have to do an adjustment burn since we can't lock to the node. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and go into stability assist right now. And we're going to continue to fine-tune this manually at this maneuver node. Okay. Continuing to... Come on, stability assist. There we go. That's a bit more like it. Okay. What's our periapsis? Close enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and set Kerbal as our focus. And at the periapsis, I'm just going to go ahead and do a retrograde burn. We're going to look to circularize. Actually, that's pretty much perfect. Maybe a little deeper into the atmosphere. Like 20 kilometers or so? No, not that deep into the atmosphere. About 20 kilometers. Right about here looks pretty good. Sure, why not? That's going to be a retrograde burn, but there's no real point in doing anything until we get there, like orientation-wise. However, I believe we are very soon going to have power flow because we're actually over the light side of the moon now. So I'm just going to orient ourselves so that we do have some power flow. There we go. Excellent. And now I'm just going to warp until we escape the gravitational influence of the moon. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the experiment control station here quick. I want to see if we are getting power and if our redeployments worked out. We are not in daytime yet. Okay, good to know. Let's head back to the Flea 2L. We'll go ahead and land this, and then maybe by the time we land it, we'll have power there, or close to it. So we can warp to the next maneuver, but that's going to be a burn time of 2 minutes and 5 seconds, so we're going to have to burn at 1 minute and 2 seconds. as we accelerate faster and faster towards our periapsis. This is going to be a pure retrograde burn. We're going to have to orient pretty quickly, but we've got electric charge now, so that's going to help. Oh, okay. It dropped us out 2 minutes before. So we can go ahead and time warp forward until 1 minute and 10 seconds or so. There we go. And we're going to burn this at 1 minute, 2.5 seconds. So, mark. And there goes our apoapsis. So the next question is, at what point do we start getting science? Do we actually need to put a comsat over the moon? Do we have a connection? I don't even know. We might want to put a communication satellite up. I mean, it can't hurt. Realistically. Well, 500 more meters per second in this burn. We are about halfway through the burn. And we've still got about 1,000 meters per second in the tank, so if we need to, we could even do a re-entry burn. I don't think we need to, realistically. We should just be able to hold retrograde. Especially with our electric charge basically full, but we're on the dark side now. At the very least, with our next iteration of the design, we need bigger batteries. At the very least. If we don't have the ability to put in, like, RTGs or something. Because this amount of electric charge just ain't cutting it for these dark side operations. Which, I mean, realistically, we'd prefer not to do dark side operations, so maybe it's for the best. Okay, well, we are going to be ending this burn quite shortly here. In about 50 more meters per second. Make that 20 meters per second. Okay, good enough. What's our periapsis? Ooh, okay. A little lower than I was looking for. But I mean, we've got plenty of fuel left for a re-entry burn. So we're at the apoapsis now. Let's just go ahead and warp forward until we hit the atmosphere. Which is right now. And realistically, I think we just ditch this stage. I mean, it's not set up for re-entry. Yeah, I think we're fine. That did nothing? There we go. That's more like it. Excellent. Okay, we've got a heat shield here, right? Yes, we do. Fantastic. How are we doing on power? We're doing fine. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and quick save, because I'm also going to physics warp, and I'm always paranoid about that. Let's physics warp until we see some significant atmospheric effects, which will be shortly. Should be in around 4 kilometers or so before we start seeing them. Sometime around now-ish, in the low 50s. Yeah, there we go. Got plenty of electric charge for now. I'm going to unphysics warp this soon. I think now. I just don't like being on physics warp during this re-entry portion, I feel like the SAS has a hard time holding under physics warp, like harder than normal. So, are we going to be landing on the dark side? I do believe we are. Well, that's exciting. We do have a scientist along, so we can, if we land in a place where we need a materials study, which, by the way, we didn't collect our materials study. I should probably do that. If we land in a place with a materials study that we don't have, we can just reset it with Bob. We are not decelerating as quickly as I would like, but that's going to change here pretty soon. We're still relatively high up in the atmosphere. And yeah, we're already down to 1700 meters per second. I think we'll be fine. (1500 meters per second at 25 kilometers. Only about 400 more meters per second to bleed off before our drogue chutes can take over. And we're just now entering the thicker part of the atmosphere, so I think we're fine. Yeah, atmospheric effects are already going away. I can turn off SAS at this point, but instead I turned on RCS for some reason. I guess I'm just unfathomable that way. I don't know. Drogue chutes are now deployable. And so I shall deploy them. So we have a materials study from flying low, huh? Okay. We'll grab a temperature scan here, for sure. Deploy the main chute, and once these deploy, we can have Jeb pop out for that EVA report that was available. And they should be deploying relatively shortly. I mean, at like, I think 1500 for the drogue chutes radar altitude, and 1000 for the main chute, I think is the default. 2500 for the drogue chutes. Okay. But I know it's 1000 for the main chute, unless they changed it. Yeah, it's 1000. Well, this flight went better than I expected, but we definitely identified some issues that we can learn from. There's no doubt about that. Okay. So once the main chute deploys, I'm going to go ahead and physics warp again. Once the main chute deploys here in a little bit, then we will be able to EVA Jeb and grab that EVA report from flying low. There we go. I'm going to quick save first, because I'm always paranoid. But we don't have the option. Okay. Well, that was a waste of time. Let's land this thing. (300 meters, 200 meters. Oh, this is not a very flat location, but I think we'll be fine-ish. The heat shield didn't like the impact, but everything else was okay. I'm going to turn SAS on and stop this roll before it gets too bad. And we do actually need a materials study. If I exit, it's going to start rolling again, right? Nope, we seem to be still. Okay, Bob, all hatches obstructed, of course. Let's roll this way. Oh, no! Too much. Too much. Okay. Hatches are still obstructed. I'm going to allow it to continue to roll a little bit. I want it to roll to about there and settle. Settle here. It's not settling there. It's only settling hatch down, it would seem. We're doing okay on electric charge. Maybe we should allow it to roll to the bottom? I feel like that's a bad idea. Okay. What if I had it try to settle here? What if I were able to turn it like this so that it's lying along the hill? I don't know how the reaction wheel did that. I'll be real honest. But it would appear that that kind of worked. And then base it like here. Maybe. Nope. Okay, I'm going to quick save. Bob, get out. Reset it. Hop in. Okay. Observe the materials bay. We're good. Recover. Well, that was a kind of an exciting landing, in that we landed in a really awkward place, but it's fine. So, things we learned. Lights and ways to power ourselves are important. We also gained 118.1 science, which is nice. And Jebediah gained 3 XP, but did not advance to level 3. Interesting. Well, it's past time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to look at spending our science, and perhaps upgrading our lander. And if we've gotten an additional station for our outpost, we will launch again. If not, we might start putting up a communications satellite, or perhaps go to Minmus for our first landing. We'll have to see. Subscribe for more, and I will see you all next time.